welcome to another episode of Canny Conversations podcast. We're in the delightful offices of Brown Jacobson, the law firm. We're on floor 15 in the middle of Birmingham City Centre, and we're here with one of our closest friends, a friend of the Multicultural Apprenticeship and Skills Alliance, a friend of our awards, somebody who's been supporting us, who's been advocating for us for the last couple of years at least, and somebody who's very, very, very dear to us. So, Joanna Hughes, thank you for the opportunity of sitting face to face. Really appreciate that, and thank you for and sorting the offices out today as well. Much appreciated.
It was my pleasure, and I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you so much. So, Joanna, first things first. Obviously, there's there's many people in our sector who are going to be listening to this and viewing this, and they've seen you out and about, and they've seen you representing effectively legal apprenticeships, and but you yourself have had a transitional career. You're an ambassador now for many organisations. You're a change maker. You're an individual that has been trailblazing, if I can use that word, in terms of the sector and so forth. So for people that may not fully understand in terms of who you are, what your background is, your journey, just explain in a nutshell where you are in life at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think what you're gently hinting at is, why did I give up a 25-year legal career to be a much less well-paid advocate for solicitor apprenticeships? Well, the answer to that is because I believe in them so passionately. In a nutshell, solicitor apprenticeships create loan-free lawyers that are accessible to all.
Yeah.
In terms of why I personally, like my own personal journey, originally I'm from a low-income background. I know I don't necessarily sound like it now, but I am. I went to a state school, first gen to go to university. My parents had working class roles. And so in my law firm, I was always heavily involved in the social mobility work. Yeah. Now, my law firm, like many law firms, did absolutely superb outreach work into schools. But it didn't translate into permanent roles. So I did a bit of research around and found out that really solicitor apprenticeship route qualification is the perfect answer. They're almost exclusively taken up by school leavers. They really diversify the profession in terms of socioeconomic background and racial background. So I trotted off to what was then called the graduate recruitment partner, now early careers graduate recruitment partner, and said, can we introduce solicitor apprenticeships? And he said, let's go ask our managing partner. So we did. And the answer was, yes, if you run it personally, because people will listen to you. Okay. So I stopped being a lawyer, did that full time, happily got paid as a lawyer while I was doing it for that year. And we did the whole thing in 1 year. And then I was so converted to the importance of solicitor apprenticeships in terms of diversifying the legal profession, particularly the City of London legal profession, that I wanted to devote myself to it full time. So with the blessing of my law firm, I said, I'm going to leave and persuade all the other big law firms to do it. And that's another story which I can go into if you want. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's effectively it's a collective voice for many law firms now in terms of this alternative route.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So originally I was just going to go round as a single person, and that's one advantage of getting old, right? I know lots of powerful people now. So I was going to go round and speak to all my friends who are very high up in law firms. And in the process of doing that, very quickly on, I met a wonderful man called Patrick McCann, who was chair of the City of London Law Society Training Committee. And he said, people think we've been friends for a long while. We haven't. We only met like a few years ago. And he said, I really like you. I like what you're doing. Come and join the City of London Law Society Committee, and we'll do some really impactful stuff together. And that is how City Century was born, the collaboration of more than 50 large international law firms. So we work as a collaboration now, you're right.
So you're a co-CEO of City Century.
I'm co-CEO with Patrick McCann's the other co-CEO.
You're working with 50 plus law firms or individuals. What talk us about some of the successes, opportunities, some of the challenges in terms of your in terms of that role, if you don't mind.
Well, I am a very, very proud co-CEO. In the first year alone, as I say, we had 50 law firms collaborating with a generosity of spirit that I think it's fair to say hadn't been seen before in terms of collaboration. We increased the number of large law firms committed to introducing solicitor apprenticeships by 240%. We delivered 17 webinars, lots of in-person events. And then by the second year, because we've actually only just been running for over 2 years, we'd won 7 awards in just 1 year. Including from the real big boy awards in our sector, the Legal 500 and the Lawyer. And that was a big deal. That got a lot of attention. And in terms of other 7s, we have 7,000 followers on LinkedIn, which is not bad for a new organisation.
Which is massive, I think.
And I'd like to say, keeping to my 7 theme, we've welcomed 7,000 year 12 and year 13 students in person. We haven't, it's closer to 5,000, but it's still a large number. Yeah, we've had a lot of successes. I'm very proud.
So obviously you received multiple awards for different aspects of it. Some of it in terms of change making, some of it in terms of social mobility, some of it in terms of personal capacity as well. So talk to us a little bit about obviously the impact of these awards, because at the moment you've sort of, not only have you disrupted sort of some thinking, you've challenged some of the thinking as well, but you're also created a bit of a movement as well. So talk to us a little bit about
that's very kind of you to say. You mean awards given to me personally? Okay, well, I had 3 awards in 2024 and they all mean something a little bit different to me. I was thinking about it before I came to see you. So top of the list has to be the Yusuf Mumtaz Award for commitment to apprenticeships. And that was very special to me for 2 reasons. One, because it was in recognition and in memory of a very special young man who very sadly passed. The second reason is that it was given to me by some people that I respect a great deal, including from your Pathway community. So that meant a lot to me.
Thank you.
The second award I was given in 2024 was another cross-sector award. And it's not actually called an award, it was a special recognition. So it was the UK Social Mobility Awards, which are founded by one of my social mobility heroes, Tunde Banjoko OBE, a wonderful man. And in addition to the UK Social Mobility Awards, he wanted to recognise who he saw were the top 10 movers and shakers in social mobility across all sectors. And I'm very proud to say he chose me as one of those 10. And it meant a lot to me, not just because it was cross-sector, but because my heroes are in that list. You know, people like Sandra Wallace, who is a managing partner of a law firm. Actually, she's based here in Birmingham. And then also younger people as well. I think it's really important that we don't always have heroes who are older than us. They can be younger than us. So one of my heroes is Sophie Pender, who is the founder and CEO of the 93% Club, a club for people like me who are from state school. And then I should just say another one of the people on that list, Saf, was Stormzy. Just saying.
Okay.
I'm on the same list as Stormzy.
Absolutely.
And then at the risk of going on a bit, the third award that meant a lot to me that I was given in 2024 was the IFLR Social Impact Hall of Fame recognition. And that again was outside the awards. It was a special award that was given to me because they very kindly said, I show, I'm quoting, visionary leadership which continues to inspire and drive impactful change. And actually, those words, inspire and drive impactful change, is why awards are important. It's not just about glory, it's about inspiring other people to take action or continuing to drive change. Because, you know, hopefully people look at me and say, oh, if that comprehensive school girl from Ipswich who really started off with 0, and I mean 0, social and cultural capital, if she can crack on and get these awards, then anyone can, like literally anyone can. So absolutely. I think awards are important for that reason. And the glory's nice too, can't lie.
No, thank you, John. Thank you, Joanna, for really sharing that and absolutely well deserved. And as we were really proud to to recognise you at the Multicultural Apprenticeship Awards as well, in terms of obviously being a change maker and so forth. So that was quite dear to us in terms of actually going through and thinking, who would be suitable and appropriate, and obviously you were given that accolade, and we're proud to have that association and your support and guidance.
And thank you. And I have to say, it was the one of the three that came as a complete surprise. So I was slightly taken aback that evening. I was very emotional.
I want to talk a little bit about, if I can, about the stigma about apprenticeships. I mean, you've been challenging the notion that you have to go to university to have an interesting and a sort of a rewarding, successful career in terms of the legal sort of profession. So, talk to us about how the narrative has changed and some of your sort of thoughts about that, please.
Well, I'm going to start by telling you off, Saf.
Oh, right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't use that word stigma anymore.
Oh, do you not?
It's out of my lexicon.
Okay, go for it. Go for it.
Because genuinely there is zero stigma attached to solicitor apprenticeships now. And in fact, it's gone the reverse. So these roles have a very high prestige attached to them because they're very difficult to get. They're seen as the real golden ticket into prestigious city law firm roles now. I would say, being less flippant, while law firms and young people know that they're prestigious roles, we do still have some work to do in reaching parents and persuading parents that they're very high achieving young people. It's worth them doing this route, and they don't have to trot off to Oxford or Cambridge. Okay. And particularly in some communities, we recognise that too, that we need to work harder. And so that's why we do a lot of these in-person events. For example, we've had, 5,000 young people come through our doors. But importantly, we like to meet young people where they are, because it's really important to us that we get this message across in all social mobility cold spots in state schools that don't have great careers advice. And so for that reason, we have to meet them where they are on social media. And that doesn't just mean LinkedIn, which I love. Yeah. It also means Instagram and TikTok. Yeah. So I think in the first year alone, we'd had 150,000 views on TikTok. Yeah. I'm glad to say I don't do it myself. We have a specialist team because no one would watch a TikTok channel that I was running. But it's important we get the message across to parents.
Okay, so you think it's the parents that just need a little bit of educating and informing in terms of bringing their understanding up to date?
Yeah, and some teachers as well.
Some teachers as well, careers advice.
UCAS asked me to speak at a Teachers and Advisors conference, and it was really interesting because after I'd finished my speech, I was circled by teachers saying, gosh, this sounds amazing. How did we not know about it? And that's fine. As long as once we know about it, we shout from the rooftops about it.
So you mentioned UCAS, obviously with, Multicultural Apprenticeship and Skills Alliance as well, you're involved with. So, you do a lot of sort of advisory type role. You whisper in people's ears. You try and direct and coach and coerce. Where you're influencing, you're persuading, you're guiding, you're coaching. So how does that work in terms of yourself, and how's that working for you? I know you make a lot of difference there.
Well, your own organisation and also UCAS, which you've kindly mentioned in addition, are very important because they're cross-sector. Yeah. And so they serve a very important role in sharing best practice and creating some really beautiful collaboration, actually. And City Century, our collaboration of 50 big law firms, isn't the only collaboration. There's an organisation that I'm quite close to. I don't have an official role with them, but I'm close to them, called Progress Together, which was born out of the City of London Corporation's Socioeconomic Diversity Task Force, which I did have a role on. And that is all about ensuring that people at the top of financial institutions are represented equally from low socioeconomic backgrounds. And they do a lot of collaborative work as well. And really, I heard a friend of mine, actually, he works for this law firm where we are kindly being hosted today. He's called Tom Lias, and he gave evidence last Thursday to the House of Lords Social Mobility Policy Committee. And he spoke very movingly, actually, it moved me to tears, about the power of collaboration and how in the social impact space and the social mobility space, there should be no competition. And I think your organisation does that really beautifully as well. Yeah, and it helps, doesn't it, if the people running these cross-sector organisations do their job brilliantly, do it with joy, and just make the whole thing actually rather lovely. So that's how I always feel when I'm in the company of people from the Multicultural Apprenticeship and Skills Alliance and the awards. Shout out to Jagdeep and Kasim, because what they create is wonderful, and it's a joy to be part of it.
Thank you. So, John, obviously, we're at the lovely offices of Brown Jacobson, which you've arranged today, which, I really appreciate that and much appreciate that. You work with a lot of law firms. Talk to us about some of their challenges and the conversations that they're having in terms of recruiting, new talent, and maybe launching any sort of apprenticeship schemes and that.
Yes, the word I always use when it comes to people, law firms introducing the solicitor apprenticeship route as well as the graduate route, is it's really just a leap, right? It's a leap out of the it's too hard box. And what I say to them is, I'm there to hold their hand for that leap, and so is City Century. We have law firm to law firm mentoring. We have so many resources on the City Century private internet. We've given lots of webinars. Importantly, we do in-person events for the professionals as well as the apprentices, because it's about creating community. And so I think when you bring that all together, it's much less scary for law firms to introduce this new route. To the extent they are going to do it, the advice I give is always to collect data, because you can't change what you don't measure. So that's a key bit of advice that I give them. But otherwise, apart from anything else, why would they not want to be part of what the City of London Law Society chair calls the most innovative and game-changing initiative in decades in city law?
Wow.
Wow. So who doesn't want to be a part of that?
Absolutely. So obviously law is through and through in terms of what you do, but you talk about social mobility. Obviously you've got a story that you've shared with us briefly here in terms of your own background, but you've got a sort of a wider, broader impact as well, away from the legal profession as well. So talk to us a little bit about that. I mean, obviously you're a judge for the Multicultural Apprenticeship and Multicultural Apprenticeship Awards. You're a supporter, patron, partner of our alliance. It's broader than just the legal.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So what I always say about solicitor apprenticeships is that they're not inextricably linked to socioeconomic diversity in the legal profession, but they are a very powerful social mobility tool. And that's why I gave up my legal career to be a full-time advocate for them. So yes, I do a lot of things more broadly. So as well as being a judge in apprenticeship type awards, I am a judge in the UK Social Mobility Awards. And I take part in lots of other campaigns to do with social mobility. To take one example, I'm part of a working group which is encouraging the government to make socioeconomic background the 10th protected characteristic under the Equality Act. So hashtag make it 10, look it up. Okay. And that campaign was started by Rob Powell when he worked at Weil, a big law firm, big international American law firm, and is now been picked up by Joel Perman, who works in Parliament. So that's one way that we can make some change more widely outside apprenticeships. My own particular focus for 2025 outside the City Century collaboration is raising awareness of solicitor apprenticeships in the care experience community. Okay. Some people know that's care leavers or young people in care, but the care experience community prefer that terminology. And massive shout out to two charities called Become, which is cross-sector, and Lawyers Who Care, which is run by care experienced aspiring to be lawyers for care experienced aspiring lawyers. And I'm proud to say that I'm about to start mentoring one of those aspiring lawyers. So that's a second wider social mobility focus for me. And then I have a focus on ensuring that people from low income backgrounds get on as well as get in. I'm sure you've heard that expression before. And so I work with a variety of different groups on that. And an organisation that I've mentioned once already that really helps with that is the 93% Club. And with its professional arm, 93% Professionals, which is founded by my friend Sophie Pender. And we create a really nice community from people like me from state school backgrounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Joanna, the more I get to know you, the more I think you're a superwoman. You're going to probably tell me off again, but that title superwoman comes to mind. You've got a lot. From a personal perspective, from an element of how connected you are and the things that you're getting involved with. There's not many things you say no to. It's more about let's try and make it work. So I think hats off to you in terms of that support and so forth. So for aspiring people out there, maybe people who are looking at themselves in terms of their own career. You talked about your own social mobility in terms of progression and so forth, and you've talked about some aspects of it. So share some of that journey and a little bit about your personal self as well,
Yeah,
if you don't mind. If you don't mind,
of course. So I'm a mum to 4 sons.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes, 4 sons, aged 22, 19, 15, and 12. And hey, look, I checked my privilege because until I left my law firm, I had part-time help with childcare. I couldn't afford a nanny until I had my 4th child. So for children 1 to 3, I used a nursery. So there was that whole juggling, rushing home from work, etc. Do check my privilege that by the time I was in my 40s and I had my 4th child, we could afford a part-time nanny. So that certainly helped. Since I've left my law firm, I don't have paid childcare, although still extremely friendly with Hara. In fact, all my 4 children are going to be page boys at her wedding in Cyprus.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how a 22-year-old semi-pro rugby player can be a page boy. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But it's really important to me as a mum of 4 boys that they all have roles in the house. And that started in COVID, actually. So my oldest son will do childcare. My 19-year-old son clears the table and loads the dishwasher. My 50-year-old son is a superb cook, much better than me. So he does lots of the cooking. And the little one, the 12-year-old, puts away folds up the washing, sorts the washing. There's a lot of washing for 4 boys, plus my husband and I. And he folds it up and puts it away. And I hope that I'm creating good partners for whichever partners they have in the future, men who pull their weight, because that's important, right? And then prioritizing, I do actually say no to things because I have to.
Yeah.
What I probably don't say no to is anything that I feel creates structural change. And it sounds a little pompous, but I do have to prioritize things where I can make structural change. For example, changing the Equality Act and making socioeconomic background a protected characteristic. I would love to say yes to every single person that asks me to be their mentor, but I can't, sadly.
Yeah.
But I do like to sort of keep my feet on the ground. So I always have 2 projects where I can get to meet young people in their own environment. So I'm an enterprise advisor, which essentially means a careers advisor in a state school in Waltham Forest, which is an area of London. And that's how I meet young people in schools. And because I've been mentoring for 20 years, and actually that's how I first met the UK Social Mobility Awards. I received one of their Mentor of the Year awards a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I always like to have one mentor on the go, and I've just mentee on the go. I've just finished mentoring someone through the Social Mobility Foundation, and I'm very, very excited to meet my new care experienced mentee next week.
Okay, fantastic. There's a lot then. There's a lot there. A lot of juggling.
There is a lot of juggling.
a lot going on. In terms of sort of advice for younger people. I mean, you talked about mentees and so forth. So, you're not able to directly mentor everybody, but if you were to talk to a young person now, if you were to give them some advice and some sort of nuggets of wisdom, share that with us? What generalizing
I'll
a
try.
little bit, yeah.
I'm not known for nuggets of wisdom, Saf, but I'll try.
Yeah.
So for any young person who is listening to this podcast, who is thinking of being a solicitor, particularly in a large law firm, the type of law firms that I work with, I would say, please reassure your parents that the solicitor apprenticeship route to qualification is high prestige, because it is. It isn't just about high prestige, it's about high performance. And so if I could just pick one fact to back that up, the Solicitors Regulation Authority, which is our regulator, has released statistics that show that when it comes to the professional exams in the last 2 years of the solicitor apprenticeship, called the SQE, solicitor apprentices outperform the cohort as a whole. And so this apprenticeship route isn't just about a good thing to do, it makes complete business sense. And that is something else that young people can tell their parents. And as a subsidiary point, the law firms that I work with may be very high prestige, may have top tier clients all around the world, but we're a very welcoming community. And I commissioned the Bridge Group to do some independent research on the socioeconomic and race background of our solicitor apprentices. And I wasn't surprised to hear confirmation that they are far more diverse than the solicitor population as a whole. So come and join us. You will be warmly welcomed and you will have an extremely fulfilling career.
Thank you, Joe. A final question that I do know the answer to, but I'm going to ask anyway, if I may. Any regrets in terms of leaving the sort of legal profession and doing the work that you're doing? Obviously, you've made a massive impact, but I know the answer, but I'll ask
you.
You
do. That's why you're grinning. No regrets at all. I feel very blessed every day to have the opportunity to be a full-time champion of solicitor apprenticeships. And I'm extremely grateful to people like Patrick McCann and Joe Gubby, who I work with on a daily basis, to make the change we're making.
Absolutely. Joanna, I just want to say thank you from my perspective as the founder of the Multicultural Apprenticeship and Skills Alliance, the Multicultural Apprenticeship Awards. You're our go-to person for many things. When Jag, myself, and Kasim have meetings, your name, without fail, comes into conversations as a true partner, somebody that we can actually knock on the door, and you've never said no to us in terms of encouragement, advice, and guidance. So thank you for that, and
I never will say no.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for welcoming me to your family.
Thank you.